How does the US pursue its foreign policy goals? Well, there are two basic ways we can do this through hard power or soft power. Hard power is coercive power. It makes people do something they don't want to do. And in this sort of very basic distinction, we would say that hard power is military power. And there are other ways of defining hard power in terms of domestic and foreign policy. But for our class, because this is how our textbook does it, we are going to say that hard power is military power. That makes a lot of sense, right? Because how do you make someone do something they don't want to do? Well, you can threaten them with military consequences, or you can actually then make those military consequences happen. Soft power is basically everything short of the military. And the idea is instead of coercive power, it's more persuasive power. It's not forcing someone to do something they don't want to do. It's more convincing them that they want to do that thing after all. So things like economic sanctions would be considered a soft power. Public diplomacy would be considered a soft power. Foreign aid, right? Things to sort of get countries on board with our goals, but without using our military to do it, or again, without using threats of military intervention. Now, again, there are other ways of distinguishing hard and soft power, and how we sort of define coercive power can change depending on what scholars we're reading. But for our purposes in this class, the definition of hard power is military power, or again, threats of military power, and soft power is everything else. So you'll notice that economic sanctions fall under soft power for our purposes in this class. And again, that is how our textbook defines it. So we are going to stick with that and keep that in mind. We're approaching the exam right now. Keep that in mind on the exam, that I would expect you to go with the definition we have in our textbook and in these lectures, rather than other definitions that are out there. So just sort of something for you to note. Hard power is coercive, and specifically for our purposes, military threats or actual military action. Soft power is somewhat more persuasive, and it's basically everything short of military power. So again, economic sanctions, but also foreign aid. So money can be used in a more positive way as well. And economic sanctions being lifted would also be an example of soft power, right? You sanction someone, they change their behavior, so you lift the sanctions. And public diplomacy, so outreach to the public of other countries, as well as, of course, sort of traditional diplomacy, negotiations between politicians of different countries, or leaders, I shouldn't say politicians, leaders of different countries. So we can see that those two main categories of tools are how we pursue our foreign policy goals.